We'll see. So we have to add these two dependencies and okay. So for enabling the second level cache, which is related to session factory instead of a session. So as it is a external thing, so we have to add the third party cache provider, out of which EH cache is there, J cache is there, and Redis is there. But we don't use all of them. We only use EH cache. So you can add the latest version dependency of EH cache, that is 2.10.9.2, and a link between Hibernate and EH cache. So you can add the dependency of Hibernate EH cache, that is 5.6.15 dot final, and then we will enable. So these are the two properties that you have to add within the project. So let's say what is going in the project. So we were having one employee class, and that code I had commented out. So we'll remove the comment, and from here also we will remove this comment. Okay. And what we are doing, we are just using the service registry to build the session factory. And then we are fetching an employee with the ID 101 and printing the employee's name. So this is the first session that we are closing and opening a new session, then finding the same employee in the second session. So we will start the program, and error is expected here. So we got the error. And this is a very expected error in case of Hibernate. So if you check here, it is saying that java.lang.no such field error. In which class? org.hibernate.cache.spi.second level cache logger does not have member field. It does not have anything as instance. However, you can search about this error class. You can't get anything. And let me tell you the reason. But before that, these are the two things that we have to enable. So there is a note. We have to annotate the entity class with two annotations in which we will define the second level caching permission. What we are defining, that we will define the second level permission. So if you have a public class of employee, student, anything, and it should be a entity class. It should be a entity class. If it is an entity class, this is what you have to write there. Okay. This is what you have to write as a annotation. One annotation as cacheable means you are applying caching on this class, and what strategy you are using for that. Read write means in reading the values and writing the values, in both way it will follow the caching rules. So that is what you have to do here for applying the second level caching. Once done with this part, and we have checked that everything is all right. Here we are saying hibernate dot cache dot use second level cache true, hibernate dot cache dot reason dot factory underscore class, then the same class name that we have checked from the jar file. Like everything is all right. So this error is not about of any file. I will write that note. Remember this note whenever you are doing the development for a second level cache. We are getting the error something like no such field. This is the error that you will get, or any other error also you can get, no such field or class, because our versions are not compatible. Our versions are not compatible. Compatible means we are using cache with hibernate. Right, we are using cache, and there is a reason that we are using cache, that it is the good one. Others are not having accuracy and other problems as well. So we are using cache with hibernate, where the version of hibernate and hibernate cache are different. So the version of these two three things is different. We'll go to our pom.xml file, this one. If you check carefully in this caching project, we'll scroll down. The Hibernate version that we are using is 6.5.2 dot final. Now the Hibernate cache version that we are using is 5.6.15 dot final. And this is the actual problem here. So even I will mention that if we talk about Hibernate version that we are using is 6.5.2 final version, and if we talk about the Hibernate cache version, that is I think 5.6.15. Hmm. That is 5.6.15 dot final. Okay, this is the Hibernate's version, and these two should be same. For using cache, these two versions should be same. Strictly, they should be same. Now, it means that we have to change version of one of the thing. Either we will change our Hibernate version, or else we will change the Hibernate cache version. So let's go to the website, that is MVN repository, and here I will search Hibernate cache. And we'll go back. So no, see, this is not Spring Boot. First thing, at first, it is not Spring Boot. Spring Boot does not require writing the version. It is a normal Java project where we have to write the version also. Now we don't have any updated version of EH cache. We don't have any updated version as we will check it. So if you check this particular thing, that if you search Hibernate EH cache here, you will not get any of the new version kind of things. Here you will get all the previous versions. Right here, what you will get? You will get all the previous versions. Right. So if you check, uh, even the latest version that we are getting is 5.6.15 dot final. After that, all are red, 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 and you can see no one is using them. Their usage is 0.0.0.0.0. They are in development, so we cannot update the version of Hibernate EH cache. I'll mention this. We cannot update the version of Hibernate EH cache. So we have to update the version of Hibernate core, and we are bound to do this thing now. Means we have to change, downgrade the version of Hibernate core. Let's check. I will search here Hibernate core, and you will get 7, 6. You will not see any 5 version here, right? You will not see any of the 5 version. Generally, there is only the version difference. So, what you can do is you can copy the version of Hibernate EH cache and paste it here in the Hibernate core version. Once you are doing this thing and saving the file, your error will start, and it can simply be removed if you are removing this .orm. But I want you to understand the thing, that why we are removing this .orm, why we are doing all those things. Okay, so let's see. Whenever we are searching the dependency for Hibernate core, you will see that if you go here Hibernate core, you are not getting any 5 version. But you will get one line here. Whenever you are going, you will get one line here. What line you will get? This artifact was relocated. This artifact was relocated. If you check the previous version that was given by, scroll down here, who is providing this? So hibernate.org ORM is providing this, and last time it was provided by normal org.hibernate. So now we'll save the file and it will build, and you will see the error is removed. So I will mention it in the documentation that now we have to change the version of Hibernate core from this particular dependency. We will change the version to 5.6, 5.6.15. I think this is the one. Yes, 5.6.15 dot final. And who is providing? org.hibernate is not providing. You have to remove the .orm. Now this was the actual time where Java X was changing to Jakarta. In this version 5 to version 6 was the time where Java X was changing to Jakarta. Now, once you have changed the Hibernate core version to 5, last time we were on 6, now we are on 5. In that case, you will start getting error in your employee class and the main class as well. Now, there is a next note, and that says is if we are using the Hibernate 5x version, 5x version means after 5 it can be anything, 5.1, 5.2, anything. If we are using the Hibernate 5x version, so we have to change all the imported class. Whatever you have imported in your project, you have to change that, as Hibernate 5 is offered by, or you can say given by, Java X dot packages, right? So Java X is giving, not Jakarta. And Hibernate 6 things are given by Jakarta package. This you have to change. Now, if I go back to the employee class, you will see that we are getting error on the packages that are getting imported from Jakarta, right? The packages which are getting imported from Jakarta, because Hibernate 5 does not support them. As we are using the Hibernate 5 version, so they will not support. Now, one simple thing, you can change it to Java X and it will work fine, right? Jakarta to Java X, that's it. Or you can press Control Shift O to optimize the input. So, in one click, they will be optimized. Now, here we have seen that employee class is not having any error. All the things, ID annotation, entity annotation, cacheable, everything is imported from Java X now instead of Jakarta. In app.java, we are getting the error in set property. That is also a problem here. Second note, Java X classes, Java X.x classes does not support the set property. They does not support the set property method where at first you are providing the first is the property name and second boolean value you are providing. So you will see that once we changed here, if you check, when we changed the version, you will see in all the set property we are not getting any error. We are only getting error where we are providing the second value as boolean value. It is not supported. It is not supported. For example, this is the problem. Now this is a error, as this true is a boolean value. Solution is very simple. Solution for this particular thing is very simple. What you have to do is, solution is very simple. We have to change the boolean value to a string value. That's it. So this true now we will change from boolean to string. So true, and this also true. Now these are the very small reason that companies are still using Java 8. This is the reason, because if they are updating the versions, lot of things they have to change in the code. Like this, we just change the Hibernate version and we have to update this file, this file, this file, right? Still around 60% of the companies are on Java 8 only. And here we are planning for Java 25. So this is how we do caching. Now again we will start our application. We just changed the version of Hibernate core, and Hibernate core 5 are provided by org.hibernate, not .orm. It does not provide. Okay, and all the import classes are from Java X instead of Jakarta X. And here set property does not support passing the boolean value. We can only pass the this value, string value. Now again same thing we will do here. We'll start the application. So what we are seeing here, we are fetching the employee with ID 101 using two different session even after closing the session. Here the first session we have closed, started the second session, but Hibernate is firing the query only one time. Hibernate is firing the query only one time. Second time it is not firing the query to find the employee. Right? So here it has written even though sessions are different. So this is called second level caching. Okay. So remember, whenever you are using second level caching, you are not committing these version problems. It will be there if you are not focusing on this. Your console will not be able to show you the right error, but you will get error. And this is the reason for error. And once you are updating the version, you have to literally change a lot of things, not only the version. Lot of things will change. Okay. So that is how we do caching in Hibernate. The next thing here, or the last module, or you can say the last chapter, last unit, whatever you call it, what we are discussing in Spring JDBC section is Spring Data JPA. What is that? Spring Data JPA. Before understanding Data JPA, I will tell you something related to clean coding, because here you will be very confusing, right? Like too much confusing in Spring Data JPA. For that, you have to understand the clean coding concept. The much cleaner your code is, the much happy you will be. If your code is too much ugly, then you will face a lot of problems here. What I meant by clean coding is not writing the designable code, increasing the font size, in changing the color of from black to blue. No, not like that. Clean coding means how organized you are. How organized. I will show you one simple example of organizing. Let's say This laptop is used by me for giving trainings. Now everything is at most organizing. If I just want to edit the notes or upload the notes, there is one notes folder which has all the running batches. I will open your batch. Now we have monthly folder here. I will have a idea that okay, we discussed about Spring Boot runner in May. So I will just open the May. There then we have date wise folders. It will be maintained throughout. The reason is I am not wasting time. Time is money. The same way organizing is too much important. We will start with a real life example here to tell you about the clean coding concept. Then we will come to the programming. There is a case. So we'll do a case based study here. And the case based study is there is one case that you are going to restaurant to eat food. This is the case that you are going to a restaurant to eat the food. Now, if I ask you the series of event, that what will be the series of events here, how you will go there. Let's say you reached the restaurant. After that, it will be involving some of the clear cut concepts. So, if we check what is the first step whenever you are going to a restaurant, you will go to kitchen, right? He's saying yes. Are we'll go to kitchen? Hello, we'll go to kitchen? Then you are saying yes. The first step is you will go where you will be having the sitting area, right? Sitting area or the waiting area. Generally, in big restaurants, you have a waiting area as well. That no tables are free, you have to wait for 10-20 minutes, like that. So, the first one is the dining area or the waiting area. So, the series of event will go like that. The first thing is you have to reach dining area wherever the dining area is. After reaching the dining area you will sit or whatever. The next series of event is waiter will approach you and you have to place an order. What will happen? Waiter will approach you and you have to place the order. So I can simply say place the order to waiter. This is the second step. Third is third step is not done by you. Third step is done by waiter. Waiter will go to kitchen and speak about your order. Whatever food item you have asked for yourself, the waiter will speak that in the kitchen. The next step is also not done by you. The chef will start preparing your food. This is the next step. The chef will start preparing the food. This is the next step. Once the food is properly cooked, whatever you asked, then also the next step is not done by you. It is done by waiter. Waiter will bring and serve your food. I'm talking about restaurants. I'm not talking about taking in the cloud kitchens where you have to pick the order. This is a case of a restaurant where waiter will bring and serve your food. Then you will start eating the food. Then you will start eating the food. Now these are the steps if you are visiting any restaurant. I hope these are only the steps you can mention going to washroom, washing hands, whatever. But these are the common steps. Now, in this, how much thing done by you? So, at first, we did these two things. We have to reach the dining area and place the order to waiter. Right? These two things done by us. Then comes the waiter's concept where waiter is going and waiter is speaking about your order. The next series of the event is third step done by us. So you will go to kitchen and speak your order. Where? I have never visited any restaurant where you will go to kitchen and speak the order to chef. Total three step. I don't think so that you are going to kitchen. So in the next very step, the step is done by who is actually cooking the things, chef or whatever the cook is. Then again the waiter will bring your food and serve it to you. Then again our work started. Why I give this example only? Because here we have to discuss about something very important, that is Spring Data JPA, which is somehow related to this example only. How it is related? Now let's see how many peoples are here. So this is you can say Java application, who are the main customer or client or whatever. Then there is someone as waiter. This waiter, you can say, this is a interface. This is a interface provided by Spring Data JPA. Then there is someone as chef. Then this chef, you can say, the implemented class of this interface. So waiter will not cook my food, right? If let's say I want to eat something, let's say I want to eat ice cream. So the waiter or whatever will not cook that, right? There is someone else. Waiter will just place the order. So then we will have implemented class for that interface. There will be one implemented class for that interface. And at last, again, the interface work will come. Then you will accept your order. You will accept your order. Now, there is one hidden here which you will not find generally, but let me mention that. If you are visiting any five-star restaurant or seven-star restaurant, they have a clear policy that their waiters should speak English, they should be well dressed and everything. And waiters are also not allowed to go to kitchen because their clothes will get dirty. There is one more person, I am not talking about all the restaurants, just some of them. They will be the serving waiters. Serving waiter means those who are just handling the customers. There will be one more interface here. There will be one more interface here which will be doing the things between the main waiter and the chefs. Not mandatory, optional. Same concept we are going to follow in Spring Data JPA. I am not erasing this example. We'll keep the example and at last we will implement this only. Okay. So let's start talking about Spring Data JPA. Spring Data JPA. JPA, what is JPA? Jakarta Persistence API, or you can say Java Persistence API. What it is? It is an approach, right? Which is, you can say, the better thing than JDBC, where Java objects are mapped to database and database tables and database rows. JPA is implemented by ORM. We have some of the ORM framework, that is Hibernate. We discussed about Hibernate because Spring also uses Hibernate internally. And this Spring Data JPA is the extended version of JPA itself. The same JPA that we have discussed within our last, I think, 7 to 10 days we have spent on Hibernate. And there are some of the complex operations like joins using Hibernate. So I thought of doing all of them along with Spring Data JPA, because here also we have the same thing. So join and all those we will focus here in Spring Data JPA, which is used in the industry. So we'll see what it is. Okay. The very first line that I will write here, that Spring Data JPA is a extended version, or you can say the extended, or extended is not a good word. Here we can say that Spring Data JPA is built over the top of JPA. Spring Data JPA is built over the top of JPA. Spring Data JPA comes as a dependency descriptor. Yes, what is dependency descriptor? What is dependency descriptor? Array, we discussed this thing. Starters. Spring Boot starters are the dependency descriptor. Spring Boot, starter test, starter web, starter test, starter data JPA, starter JDBC, Spring JDBC, all these Spring Boot actuator, all these things are just Spring Boot starter, and we call them as dependency descriptor. What we call them? Dependency descriptor. Here we will mention one line, that Spring Data JPA simplifies the database operations. What it does? It simplifies the database operations by reducing the interaction with database. We will interact with database very less. And it also provides us interfaces like JPA repository, CRUD repository, and repository, which makes our work very easier. So what is the work of this Spring Data JPA? They provides us lot of interfaces. These two are very main: JPA repository and CRUD repository. It's not CRUD, it's CRUD. Here we call it as CRUD repository. And then we have JPA repository and one interface as repository itself. What it will do? It will make our work so easier to do. So anyways, this is Spring Data JPA, which comes as a dependency descriptor, means starter. It comes as a Spring Boot starter. So we will set up a very basic application, and this Spring Data JPA actually uses this concept that we will build now. So here we'll see setting up the Spring Data JPA. We can write one line itself, that Spring Data JPA Spring Data JPA uses Hibernate internally. So what it will use? Internally Hibernate. And what Hibernate is using internally? JDBC. Setting up the Spring Data JPA project. So it's very simple to set up. Very simple. What we have to do is we'll just say build a Spring Boot starter project and add the dependency of Spring Data JPA. Add the dependency of Spring Data JPA and your database driver. Here, whatever your database is, if you are on MySQL, then MySQL driver. If you are on Oracle, then Oracle. If you are on Cassandra, then Cassandra. If you are on Postgres, then Postgres. Okay, whatever is your database is. Just you have to add the dependency of Spring Data JPA. That's it. So we'll go to Eclipse, remove all these things, and here we will create a new Spring Starter project. Now there is one bug going on with Eclipse, and the bug is if you are trying to install this plugin, generally Spring Tool Suite plugin we are getting, right, to create the Spring. Eclipse is not supporting that now. I checked it, I think last week. You were going to help and then Eclipse my marketplace where you were searching Spring Tool Suite. So now I think last week it was not working. Today is working, then it's fine if it is working. If it is not working in that case because of your reason, internet or anything, you can just use this website, that is start.spring.io, because it provides you the same interface. Okay, you can use this website. So let's go back and we'll check. So at first we will create a new Spring Starter project where the project name I will write as Spring Data JPA. Group ID is com.jpa and package is com.jpa, and that's it. We'll click on next. Dependency. Here I will add the dependency of Spring Data JPA. Spring Data JPA. I will just select this and MySQL driver. Right? MySQL driver I will select. Just next and finish. Now we will do the project configuration. So at first we will check our project. You can see that here is Spring Data JPA. In the bracket you can see boot, which represents that it is a Spring Boot project. Now we'll just open the main package and the main class and we will start it. What we will do? We will start the application. So let's start it as a Spring Boot app. Will it work fine or there will be some error? Just guess. Will it work fine or will there be some errors? Fine. How it will be fine? We are adding the dependency descriptor of Spring Data JPA. It means that you have to provide database connection. How it will be fine? If you check the pom.xml file of this project, who is the starter of your app? Here the starter is Spring Data JPA, or you can say the Data JPA is the starter. Means you have to provide the database configuration. We will provide the database configuration now, but before that, are we adding any Hibernate related thing here? So the answer is no, we are not writing anything. I will check the Maven dependencies, and what I will see that Hibernate core I am already getting. Even though we are not adding any dependency related to Hibernate, but we are getting. How we are getting and which version we are getting of Hibernate? 6.6.13. Maybe the latest one. No, not the latest one, but which is comfortable with Spring. With no version we have provided. Jakarta Persistence API already we are getting. And JSON path, JUnit, Log4j, Micrometer, Mockito, and for Spring Bean, Spring AOP, like all of them we are getting by just adding the starter as data JPA. So, which ORM framework is used by Hibernate internally? Hibernate. How we can say? Because whenever we are adding the dependency of data JPA starter, it is loading the jar file of Hibernate core, means Hibernate. Now, as it is a Spring Boot project, it is a Spring Boot project. Here we don't have any hibernate.cfg.xml file. Here we don't have any container file. In which file we do the configuration of Spring Boot app? Application.properties. So we will use application.properties file where it is available in src main resources. This file is available in src main resources. To configure to configure our database with Spring Boot project. With Spring Boot project. So we'll go and check. We'll close this, and here you can see src main resources, and inside that we have application dot properties file. So here we'll try to write what is the first thing that you have to provide. Driver class name. So last time we were writing something like this, that hibernate dot connection dot driver underscore class. But now Hibernate is not the parent thing here. Who is the parent? Spring. And connection, how to achieve connection in Spring? There is one class, data source. Remember or forgot? There was something as data source that we discussed in Spring JDBC. So what I will do here, I will try to write that Spring dot data source, Spring dot data source dot driver class name. What I will write is Spring dot data source dot driver class name. This is what we will write here. And what is my driver class name in case of MySQL? So com dot mysql dot cj dot jdbc dot driver. After that, Spring dot data source dot url. a separate database for it. In case of Oracle, you will be using your universal database, but here we can create a new one. Create a database data JPA. Database exist. Are we using this? Okay. What is inside this? Okay. So data JPA is already available and it's an empty database. Maybe how I created, don't know. So here we will write the URL. So here URL starts like JDBC colon MySQL colon double forward slash localhost colon 3306 and data JPA. Given the URL as well, then username. So spring dot data source dot username root in my case spring dot data source dot password in my case it is root. So here we will get the connection with the database. Now we'll just try it. We'll just start the application and this time we are not hitting with any error, right? And connecting through data source Hikari data source, and here we have been connected to database. Sorted. Now here only you can provide database rules as well. So last time we were doing something at HBM to DDL auto show SQL, these things we were doing in Hibernate. Same here also we can do. So I will say spring dot JPA spring dot JPA dot Hibernate DDL hyphen auto. You can keep it create. You can create it update. So update is the preferred one. Same way you can write the command for showing you the SQL, that is spring JPA dot show SQL, or you can keep it true. Hibernate is not required. You can simply say spring dot JPA dot show hyphen SQL. So here we have given the configurations of our how application dot properties is looking now for database and Hibernate configuration. Now no need of creating any XML file, no need of creating set properties, no need of service registry, nothing. It's simply the Spring Boot, which is handling the things for you. Okay, so that is done. Now you can provide this configuration. Now what we are going to do is we will try to create a class here. So at first I will create a package by using my base package com.jpa dot entity, means here I will create all the entity classes, student, employee, teacher, whatever. Entity classes means they are the database tables. So we will create a class here, that is you can work with any data, student data. So here we have created the student class. Here we have created the student class. The very first thing is I will annotate this class with entity, because I want my Hibernate to create its table. Now inside this, what I will say, first field as private int id, private string name, private string email. So there are three fields, and all the entity class must have one primary key. Okay. While importing these annotations, make sure that they are getting imported from Jakarta. Okay. And this name I will keep as column, and the column length I will give as name we can give around 20, and same thing I will give to this email, but email length will be around 40. So we have created our student class, and you don't know about Lombok API, right? Okay. So generate the getter setters, and here we have now we will start our main application. So let's start. And Hibernate is firing a query. We are not mapping the class anywhere. Directly, everything is automatic here. Create table student ID integer not null, email varchar 40, name varchar 20, primary key ID. So Hibernate has fired the query. What Hibernate has done? Hibernate has fired a query. Oh, very good. That Hibernate is firing the query. When Hibernate is firing the query, we'll check our database as well, whether we got the table there or not. So here use data JPA, show tables, and we got the student table. If you want to check the student, so here we got our student table. Right now we are doing all the things same as we were doing there with some less configurations. Now we will come to this example. Whatever we discussed here, this is the main that will give you problems. So let's try to understand. In Spring Data JPA, I have told you that it gives us very important interfaces like JPA repository, CRUD repository, and repository. It is not that much important, but yes, it is also provided. We will at first see what is JPA repository. So Control Shift T, JPA repository, this one. So there is a public interface JPA repository which takes two things. What it takes? Two things. First T, second is ID. T means type. What type of data you are working on. Second it takes is ID. What is the primary key? And it provides you lot of method. Flush, save all and flush, delete all in batch, delete all in batch, delete by ID, and some are deprecated method here. These things are provided by JPA repository, and it's an interface. Now what we will do, we will check CRUD repository. CRUD repository, same way, this CRUD repository is also doing the same thing, TID, and it provides you the method like save, iterable, save all, find by ID, exist by ID, find all by ID, delete by ID, delete all by ID, and delete all. So like that it will give you. Okay. like that it will give you. So here, these are the interfaces. Remember, CRUD repository and JPA repositories are interfaces, but they behaves like class. We'll see that how. Now we are going to create the same architecture in our project that we have done. So at first, let's understand this diagrammatically. You have a Java application. You have a Java application. Now, this Java application is you. As a customer, you are going to restaurant. So this is Java application. Now, at last, there is a kitchen. At last, there is a kitchen. I'm not giving it the shape of database, but understand that this is a database. Means your kitchen where your food will be cooked. As a user, you will give order to someone, and that person is the waiter. That person is the waiter. Here I will write the real example as well, that it is the kitchen in real example. This is the customer who want to eat food. This is the customer who want to eat the food. Now this is one of the waiter. Now here at first I will write the example of a 5 star or a 7 star restaurant. Just don't get panic. So there you will have a serving waiter. There you will have a serving waiter, or you can say the attendant waiter. Those who are attending the customers, attending waiters. Now, in terms of programming, we call them as repository. What we call them? Repository. Repository. This serving waiter will take the order from the customer. That sir, what or ma'am, what you want to eat? So it will take the order. Now this order, this particular waiter will transfer that to a serving waiter. That order will be transferred to a serving waiter. As this first attending waiter is wearing good clothes to attend the customer, so because of the dirtiness and all those things, this attending waiter will pass the order to the serving waiter. And in terms of our case, we call it as waiter who is extending, who is extending the previous waiter. Right? We can say that he is not doing anything new. He is just extending the one previous waiter. He is just doing that only. That he is extending the one previous waiter. Now, at last, this waiter will give the order into the kitchen. At last, this waiter will pass the order into a kitchen where one chef is already there, and the chef will take that order and start cooking the food. Now, this is the actual person who is acting on your request. These waiters are playing this transfer game. This chef is the main person who is actually who is implementing the order. Implementing the order. In this entire case, always remember this serving waiter concept is optional. You will not find it everywhere. So in programming also it is optional. It is not at all needed, right? It is not at all needed. But what we call this in the terms of programming? Who is this? Service waiter. So we call this as service. What we call this as? This one is repository. This particular part is a service. And who is this person? The person who is implementing. So you can say that this is implementing class, which is actually giving you the food. Implementing class. So it works like this. Do you remember the stereotype annotation? If you want to manage the object of any class, the main one is controller, or you can say rest controller. Apart from this, we have three more. What are those? Repository and service and anyone is there? At the rate of component. So we actually add the rate of component is the main one which has these three stereotype annotations. So now you understood what is repository and what is service. Where we will use at the rate of repository, where we will use at the rate of service. This service is always optional. This service is always optional. So now let's try to build this architecture within our project. So what I will do, using the base package, I will create the package that is repository package. We will create one more package that is service package, and one more package that is implemented class package. So simple way I can write IMPL. So these are the different packages now. Let's try to implement it. So how we will implement? At first there is a attending waiter. So let's go back. In the repository section, I will create a new interface. What I will do? I will create a new interface. So we are working, who is our entity here? Student. A student is our entity. The same name I will keep. The student repository. So here I have created one student repository interface. Now, do you know the relation between classes and classes, interfaces, interface and interface? Like which one will extend, which one will implement? If there are two interfaces, they will implement or extend each other? Implement. Two interface can't extend each other? They can extend, right? So here this student repository interface will extend. Will extend. What it will extend? JPA repository. And just now we have seen one thing, that it takes two things. First is the type T. So on what type of data you are working? Student. On what type of data we are working? Student. The second is you have to provide the ID. ID means what is the type of your ID in class. Now my ID is int. So if you are passing int here, it will throw you some problem. Now if you check it very carefully, so it will say that syntax error, insert dimension to complete reference type. Now you can try by keeping it integer and it will remove your error. I hope wrapper class clear. Okay. So now what I did, this student I have written as integer, that my primary key is of type integer. If your primary key is of type string, write string here. If your primary key is of type long, double, char, for char, what is the wrapper class? Character. So my rep ID is int, so I will write its wrapper class, that is integer. So some small steps I will mention here, that using the base package, create the following packages. Create the following packages. So what are those packages? So at first you have to create a dot entity package. You have to create dot repository package. You have to create dot service package. You have to create dot impl package. Implementation full word you can write, or impl you can write. See, in starting it will look big and confusing, so understand it properly. Now we have created a student repository. Now I will tell you the one case. There are some of the take away restaurants, means dine in option is not available. So what you will do, after placing the order at the counter, you will go to the that attendant part and you will give your slip. They will prepare your food and give it to you at the counter itself. It means that we can work by this only. Here only we can work directly. How we can work? So let's understand. What I will do in the main application, we know that spring application dot run, it returns us the application context container. So we will create the container. Okay. So here container is created. Now after creating the container, after creating the container, I will create the object of student class. So my student is just a component. So I will say at the rate of component. Means you don't have to worry about anything. Spring will manage its object. Now I will say that student s1 equals to container dot get bean student dot class. Right? We are asking the bean from the container. Now we will prepare this student. So student dot set id 91, s1 dot set name, name is string, and then s1 dot set email. Email is also a string, so we will provide the email. Now last time we were having session factory, last time we were having lot of things. But now if I want to run this, means I want to save this employee. If I want to save this employee, how I will save? At first, I do need the object of this student repository, but we cannot create the object of interfaces, right? We cannot create the object of interface, or can we create? We can create. How? By using their implemented class, right? I asked you this question already. That's why I see how I'm getting answer for this question. Now we need one implemented class for this student repository interface. That is why I have already created the package for it. That is IMPL package. Now in this package, I will create a class that is student repository student repository IMPL class. Student repository IMPL class. Now this class should implement the student repository, right? Now here you will see that we are getting the error because of the unimplemented methods. So you can try to add, but there are a lot of implemented method here of this interface, right? So today we will do like this only, because we are cutting this one step, repository and those. Now we have a class, public class student repository implemented. Now I will say that it is a component. So I will keep a component here. Now we will get the object of this class. So we'll go in the main application and I will write that student repository implementation SRI is equal to container dot get bean of same class. So technically we are creating the object of student repository which is extending JPA repository. Means we are just using the JPA repository. Here now I want to save the employee. For saving the employee we have one straight method, save. So I will say sri dot save s1. SRI dot save as1. Here we are saving the employee S1. So we'll start the application, right? And no query is fired, right? It is not firing any query. We will check our database once. So I will say select asterisk from student and there is no query, right? What I will do, I will say drop table student. So we have dropped the table student and we will restart our application. And this time if you check, Hibernate is firing the query to create the table. Hibernate is firing the query to create the table. Now we will check why this save method is not working. So go to the implementation class and check what you are doing in save method. So save, here it is, this one, public save method. And here we are not doing anything, by the way. What we have to do in this save method? Implement it. Now how we will implement this method? So I will just say that JPA repository gives you lot of methods, that is save method and all those methods. So here in the implemented class, which is already extending the student repository, I will try to say something like this, that you have to provide one entity and what it will do with that entity, just save that. Here we are having this repository interface. For a moment, what I will do, I will create its object. So here, now it is again a interface. How we can create, this is the implemented class for that. This is the implemented class. So here we will try to write something like this, that we will have the JPA repository. Now again we have to define the type and ID, so obviously not a dedicated and good choice. We'll go back. In this entire process, we have repository interface, this one, which is just extending the JPA repository and we are getting. Then we have a implemented class for it, which is implementing the student repository and providing the methods. In this particular way, if you check, we have a save method. We have a save method, this one. Now, what I will do in this save method, at first I will check. What I will check, give a print message here. So just a print message I will give and I will say that save method is working properly. Save method is working properly. We'll go back and we will hit, and you can check that we got this message that save method is working properly, like this. It is getting interested now. So to this repository, I will say that it is a repository. I will write like this, that it is a repository. Now if it is a repository, I can auto wired it. So in the class level, I will auto wired it. So I will say auto wired. And what I will auto wired here, private student repository SR, right? Private student repository SR. And now as we have created the object of it, so I will say sr dot save, sr dot save entity. Now in this method I am saying that student repository will save the entity that it is accepting outside. And if you check the return type of this, okay, we'll see that later. Now again we will try to do the implementation here. And here got something as circular dependency. What we got here, circular dependency. And what is the circular dependency? So it is telling the dependencies of some of the beans in the application context forms a cycle. So there is a dependency cycle. We'll understand that. It's a very big concept that you will feel very tough in starting, but it is not tough. So there is a concept of dependency cycle. Now, what is this dependency cycle? Let's say you have three different classes. You have one class A, you have one class B, you have one class C, and then one class D. Now, A class is dependent on B class. Means you can say that A class is creating the object of B. B is creating the object of C. C is again creating the object of D, and D is creating the object of A. Now let's say this D want some resource, or resource means method or any particular property. D needs one method. What D needs? D needs one method. So D will ask it to A that give me the method. A will say okay wait, I will ask to B. B will say okay wait, I will ask to C. C will say okay wait, I will ask to D. Cycle. And in this cycle your application will not start. And this is the disadvantages of Spring Boot, that here we can have circular dependency, or you can say that here we can have dependency cycle. Now check what is the reason it is giving. It is telling you that there is a field com.jpa.repository means student repository and student repository implementation. They have a circular dependency on each other. Means these two classes, this class student repository IMPL. So actually, if you check it carefully, it is already implementing the student repository. So what I will do, I will remove this section that it is not implementing anything. Now, if it is not implementing anything, we can remove all these things. Means we don't have to auto wired any of the method. So the answer is yes, we can remove everything. Now this in implementation class, I will auto wired the I will auto wired the student repository. So for private student repository SR. Okay, we will import all. Now in this student repository implement class, I will create one method. So there will be a public boolean type of method, or you can create anything. So public boolean save student. Now I am creating one method for myself, and at last it is returning. We'll see. There is a boolean value who has one flag. Initial value is false, and it is returning the flag. That's it. Now it will accept one student value, student S. It will accept one student S. Now what it will do? Nothing. It will just use the SR method because it is already having the save method. So I will say SR dot save S. Now you can try doing it. So the save you can try doing it. So I will say try. Uh, I will try to save the student. If this part is not hitting with any error, I will make the flag value as true. And if there is any exception is arriving here, so what I will do, I'll just print that exception. Okay. And at last we are returning the flag. At last we are returning the flag. Now again, same thing. We'll go back and here. Now the save method is not available, but we have something as save student method S1. Now as we know that it will return one boolean value because we have kept the return type as boolean. So here I will say boolean status equals to sri dot save student, and then at last I will check if status means true. In that case, I will print one message. Operation is successfully completed. Or else, what I will write? Else, we will write operation terminated. Operation terminated. Now, again, the same step. We'll try to start the application. And again it is telling something that there is a circular dependency. By the way, is there any circular dependency now? Yes, it is there. Now let's try to understand where we have the circular dependency. So we will start from the main class only. We have one method that is save student. Now go back. Save student depends on whom? The student class. Now this student class is dependent on student repository for providing all its methods. And the same way, this student repository is dependent on this implemented class to implement its method. So there is becoming a circular dependency. Means how we are doing the normal things cannot be done here. Here we have to provide the, by the way, this service is always optional. You can remove it. Now, I will do something. What I will do here, we are having one public interface student repository which is extending JPA repository. There only you can have a lot of methods. Here itself, we can have a lot of methods. So you can see here we have one save method, but again, not a good choice to do so. That's why I told you to maintain the clean coding here, because we know that here circular dependency starts. Now, let me tell you where is circular dependency going on. You gave the order to the attending waiter. Attending waiter gave the order to service waiter. Now, what this service waiter is doing, it is not going to kitchen. It is asking to the attending waiter that table number 21 has given the order for one food, and then attending waiter is again going to the service, and that is how the circular dependency is going on. Somewhere here only we have the student class. See, whenever you are starting in spring, at that time you will feel, why do we need different kind of annotation for same thing? So actually things are not same, things are way different. Whenever we are writing these things, all the things are way different. Now, what is the solution for this? We should have a dedicated solution for all this system. So, the dedicated solution is that first we have to remove this circular dependency from our project. It means that we cannot try to create this particular section. Now, if we are not creating this section, we will have error here that how you are able to save the things. Means we have created one more package, that was the service package. Now, this is our case where we need the service package as well. Right? So we will try to write the implementation. Time is already over, but let's understand one thing. This is what you have to focus too much while you are working with Spring Data JPA, like too much. And one more thing, it is optional only. The service class is optional, means we can work without it. But here I will show you example with service class first and then without service class. And then we will implement this. Now let's open the JPA repository once. So this is the JPA repository interface, and here we have one save and flush method and simple save method as well we are having here. Save, where is it? Mm-mm-mm. Overrided method, okay. So it provides you these kind of methods. Now here we are creating interface, this, that. Now here we arise, here the concept of reflection arises. Here the concept of reflection arises. That we call in Java is as reflection API. You know what is reflection in general terms? Whenever you are seeing yourself in any mirror, that is reflection. means your image, or you can say your picture is falling on the mirror. That is reflection. Same is with the Java's reflection API. So there was one of my student from the last spring batch, and cracked Microsoft, and I was teaching this Spring Data JPA and I was discussing about reflection API. The same exact question was asked in Microsoft. I am asking the same question to you as well. If a class is having private fields, how can we access these private fields outside? Getter setters or constructor, right? Getter setter or constructor. Now the question was, if a class is having private constructor, constructor is not public, constructor is private. How can we access this outside of the class? So if a class is having, and it's not an advanced topic from Spring or advanced, it is purely from core Java. It's very normal thing. If a class is having same exact question and he gave the ditto same answer, now working as software development engineer one in Microsoft, he told me after the interview that so the same question was asked, that how if a constructor is private, how can